Good evening, everyone. This is Shailesh from NZ World News. Today we have a famous and a very intelligent, very intellectual, but also a person of heart, of golden heart, I could say, because the profile that she has got, which I have seen. So I can't wait to have a conversation with you. And we are introducing as a guest of honor today is Debbie Zita from Australia, our neighbor. And it's a great opportunity for me to have a conversation with her on a topic which is most important and most relevant, and it has become more relevant after COVID-19's effect that has happened more and more. So we have created a concept called save the children, save the world. And this is all about what we are going to talk today is about the kids and their rights, their well-being, their recreational, and they are the future. So we are going to talk about it. So I'm not going to talk more about it, but let's hear more from Debbie, who also happens to have lots of portfolios on her, and she has put some hats on her head that she can give us more good insights, and also not make this conversation as more serious concern rather than serious concern. How do we resolve it? How do we talk about it? And how do we make people understand the importance of this? So over to Debbie for her introduction, and she would like to introduce herself, and then we'll take questions from there.
Shailesh, thank you for having me. I'm very humbled. I do have many hats, and I sometimes think I need to take a few of them off because it can get a little bit confusing. But in terms of education, I've done a little bit of work with the education system through my consulting business, and I am also on the board for an amazing charity called Hope for Education Ghana, which is based in New York City, but is about supporting the Ghana, the region of Ghana, the community there for grants, for tuition grants. I also run the Heart-Centered Way, which is about supporting business owners, so small to medium-sized business owners, to establish heart-centered network opportunities through their business networks and personal networks too. And I also work as a mentor, leadership mentor, mainly for women. That's just who I tend to attract, predominantly in the wellness and creative space. And it's all about discovering self-leadership. So I have a vision, which I've not really shared before on this kind of platform. So I'm quite honored to be able to share, but I want to see more leaders in 10 years' time who are coming from that real heart space. So I see a lot of people using the words conscious and spiritual and heart. And I don't mean this with any disrespect, because I believe that every human being is on an awakening journey. But I would like to see more people who are living from that space on a daily basis, people who've been through some tough life experiences, which is often where our spirituality kicks in. It's from life itself, who are, yes, qualified, but also just have that grit of experience and really want to be in that space to support people so that we can, raise the vibration, open up the dialogue, whatever the words are that suit, your audience, because there's a few ways we can describe it. And I just see myself as someone who holds space for many different people so that they can step into their next version, so that we can, when we leave our bodies, we leave this earthly plane, that we can feel that we've done our best to leave it a better place, which seems tough right now, but I think we can do it.
That's brilliant. So as you said, you do have put not just the educational head, but also some of the amazing in the space of the charities that you are involved with and doing few things. So let's would like to begin with first and foremost acknowledgement of this issue that we have got today is a concept called save the children, save the world. Why I say that is because these are the today's people who are born today in a situation of pandemic. They are our future, and we have to leave. We have to sow the seeds for them, give them the platform so that they don't turn out or they don't go into a different direction. What we create now is going to be their platform for them. and we have to do that. So coming on the very first issue is the acknowledgement of this thing called child poverty, or this thing called save the children, save the world. How do you see that as in today's world, across the whole world? Is that been accepted? Is that been really looked into it? Can you throw some light on it?
I mean, it's a very big question, and I feel, again, I'm going to use the word humbled a lot. I feel very humbled to be even answering this question. I'm not a politician. I don't see myself as someone being as heavily involved in charity as some other people doing the on the ground work. But nevertheless, if I'm being asked the question, I'll do my best to answer it. It's something that I talk quite a bit about with people when the topic does come up about how we help people in circumstances when they're struggling. I do also have a background in social work, so that heart of wanting to help people is definitely in my blood in many ways. I think that we need to, again, open up a dialogue where people feel more comfortable to be able to talk about how they can assist beyond just money. I've seen a lot of people, opening up charities. I did have the stats at one point, but there was just thousands per day that were being registered in Australia at least. And what I was noticing was that a lot of them were in the same sort of area or same region. And I was confused as to why are we not coming together and working on something in a way where we're communicating the same message, but it's all going into the same, the same source to support the same cause. So that's one area, I guess, that comes to my mind. And the other one is, I think sometimes when we want to support people who are struggling, it can come from, and this is a sensitive issue, but it can come from a slightly arrogant place, or it can come from a place of not meaning to be arrogant, well-intentioned, but it can land in a way that is arrogant. And to be able to remove that, I've had, again, not thousands of conversations, but I've had a few handful of conversations where I've sat with people that are homeless, and I've questioned them about their experience and asked them, can I give you some money? Can I buy you some lunch? And I've had the privilege of having some really honest conversations with them. And what I learned was that sometimes people are not ready to receive that help either. So I think it's about us being able to honor where they're coming from. Of course, hunger is an issue where, you do need to eat. I can't imagine people refusing to have food if they're given food, but respecting what their life has been before we come at it with throwing dollars in faces. So honouring the experience of life for people and what has brought them to that circumstance. And it's different depending on the region and the culture of the city and the country that we're talking about here as well. Before we come up with a plan, and it will take some time before that happens.
Yeah, but in terms of like when we talk about justice, when we talk about fairness on many levels, on many things, and one of the things that I noticed is as a media, lots of people talk about lots of things, but hardly there is an acknowledgement of like there is a child poverty or there is a national crisis, or it should be considered as a national crisis rather than solving individually or solving in groups or solving in problems in terms of that. Because we do help and we do support in businesses, whether it's small business, big business. But do you think that we should have also a system or a process to uplift this aspect of child poverty in the community, in the society?
I think we should, and how it starts, like anything, is to educate people. So before we come with a solution, we have to be able to have enough people who are interested and understand that there is first an issue before we can, I guess, inspire action in them, particularly because there's so many things at the moment, so many causes that people want to be involved with, that I think we're struggling with, charity fatigue and cause fatigue. There's just so many things out there. So having a clear message and why this one's different would be really important. But yeah, of course, I mean, to answer your question, if there's any way that we can support families and children in that area, in that aspect of life, absolutely, whatever's necessary, we need to do it.
Yes. So like we talk about human rights, we talk about ethical, we talk about morals of every society and any community, and a living, that standard of living. or even the bare minimum, entitlement that every human on this planet is deserved to have. But kids are so vulnerable that there is no voice for them. I feel sometimes that we do our bit. Everybody does their bit, but the issue is so much big that we always have to have a voice for them, because they are kids and they don't have a voice per se, and they are into that situation. So just from that angle, and when I saw you are a strategist, you are a business strategist, you are a community involvement you have got, and you do those kind of, see those kind of people in and out in your normal journey. This is where my more question is not related to like political or anything, but I just want to ask, as a human or as a humanity, in terms of that, where would you like to see involvement of the stakeholders, the officials who are decision makers, and why we are into this kind of situation, no matter which country we are in? The question is why we are in this situation, or why we even have to discuss about kids, child poverty and stuff like that. So from that point of view, what are your views? Like, as you said, like business. Now business cannot, you are a business strategist, but you are also an educationalist. I saw that. And in that space of education, kids first and foremost is like, okay, hunger is one of the things of food. So we talk about food. So how do we future-proof that every single kid, in your view, should get food at least? Is there some process that you could think of, like, okay, how we can bring community together, or how we can make this movement as a people-led movement?
I mean, there's so much infrastructure that would go into answering that, depending on, access to food and farming, resources, depending on the region, right, depending on the country. In terms of, I mean, that's a very, I'd love to have the answer. And I think if I did have the answer,
I understand
I should be in politics because, that's a magical answer to have. Well, firstly, I think it's, again, it goes back to education, because there are,
correct,
in my view, what I'm noticing is that the people that have access to a lot of money, maybe are not aware of some of these things in the way that they should be. Then again, I've met many people who are at that, 7-figure a year, 8-figure a year, that do know and that are giving to charities or have their own charities as well. So I've seen and spoken to quite a few different groups of people. And then of course you have the people who are not earning that much, but they're still giving what they can because it's something that's so close to their hearts. It's a financial issue, it's a human rights issue, and it is a spiritual issue. And
spiritual. That's what I was coming to that.
Yeah. So I mean, spiritually speaking.
Yeah.
I want to talk spiritually speaking. I believe it comes down to honoring where that human being is at, because there's, depending on your spiritual beliefs, there may be certain lessons or certain karmas that are coming out as to why. And sometimes they say often the most awakened souls are put in the most troublesome of circumstances. And I don't know if that's true. At this point, I'm having a bit of a day where I don't know the truth of anything, because, you do come to that point on your journey where we don't know that much as humans. Our brain is very limited. The more that you read and the more that you become self-realized, which is a word that you and I, used on prior conversations, the more that you realize we know nothing about anything. Yeah.
So how do you make the awareness? This is what comes down to, is information and awareness, isn't it? It all comes to that.
Information and awareness. And what I've learned on my travels is that most people who want to help are speaking the same language, but they're saying it with different words. So this is coming back to the old sort of way of marketing. So, you have the one product and, I don't know why my mind is going to here, and let's, remove any preconceived notions we have about this product, good, bad, or otherwise. But Coca-Cola was originally sold as a medicine, back when they launched it. And then of course, as the years and as the society and, politics and the economy changed, they've rebranded and remarketed it over and over and over again.
Right.
So this is about how do we, not to bring it down to the simplicity or the superficiality of marketing child welfare, But it is a little bit, how do we speak about it and how do we market it in a way that is going to appeal to people who we need to understand it? And who needs to understand it? Is it people that have funds? Is it people that are on the ground doing the work? Is it everybody? So who are the stakeholders that need to be involved? How do they need to be spoken to so that they feel respected and heard and feel pulled and inspired to come and join the cause?
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was more into like, as a human being and as a spirituality, and as a human being and spirituality, the one first and foremost is there is no ifs and buts or religion or diversity or anything like that. Humans are humans and needs to be treated as humans.
Oh, absolutely.
Supported no matter where they come from, who they are, where they are. It's our community, humans community, and so humans needs to be treated like humans. And so the basic fundamental rights of, from spiritual angle, how do you make that happen, of making sure or future proofing that, like, okay, if my neighbor is deprived or underprivileged, then how do I make that transition for him easy? It's not about giving just handout, or it's not about just helping him that moment. No.
I mean, what's coming to my mind is Gandhi and Be the Change. So rather than having any particular policies written up which humans can, I mean, if we look to America for policies and things written in Word, you know, the system doesn't always work. But to come to a very spiritual place about it, I really think it's about just being the example and continuing to do what we feel is right, and share kindness, love, funds with those that we have access to, and continue to then share that with people around us. And this does create, what we're talking about is a cultural shift worldwide, which I do think is happening. I think that's what this year has taught us more than anything else, spiritually speaking. And those of us on the path consciously knew this was coming, and also historically we knew this was coming, because this is how the world is. You go through you know, pandemics, you go through events that wake people up and change and shift the whole trajectory of humankind, for the feminists out there. So it's about being that, speaking about it, and not stopping, and then eventually this becomes the norm and the natural way of being, which is part of what the heart-centered way is. It's about doing way of the heart, so that this becomes the way that our world is moving naturally beyond one person, or beyond a community or a group of people, or the silos that we're in, from industry and financial silos, to just, you're my brother, I'm your sister. That's end of story. That's all it is.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Yeah. And that's powerfully said. You said very much that, and that's what is the awareness basically. And spiritually, it is that feeling, and it is that understanding of being yourself and being other person, and respecting and thinking that it's one of us, and we are all one of us. So we need to have that. Very well, powerfully said that. Yeah. So how we can being yourself. What do you expect? Tell me something about like the challenges that you have gone through in this, and how you have, because this is something that also, other than the child poverty and the future proofing of kids, save the children, save the concept, one of the things attached to that is also for me is how you have gone, or how one person has go through challenging times during pre-COVID, COVID, and post-COVID. What are the challenges you face? But I wanted to know, what are the positive outcomes that you came out of it? Because I really want to highlight on the positives.
Yes. Thank you for asking, and thank you for saying that about the positives. Look, it's been, I'm a middle-class Jewish white woman, so I've had quite a materially blessed upbringing in that regard. I did have what I call a dark decade of the soul. I know we talk about a dark night. I had a dark decade. I lost my mother very suddenly when I was pregnant. My marriage broke down. My partner passed away. I struggled with severe anxiety and depression, was medicated and hospitalized for 12 years. It was quite a punching match for me with life. At my lowest point, I didn't know why I was here, and I had, my way of processing things, because we're all different, but my way of processing things was every life area was wrong. So I felt like I'd failed as a mother, I'd failed as a wife, I'd failed as a daughter, I'd failed as a businesswoman. I had a string of degrees from university and jobs and things, but nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
What's positive was that harsh reality of loss and financial loss as well. There was, money that was taken and stolen from me by people that I trusted, and all these things. It sounds like a country and western song when I, when I think about it, and I could sing it that way. But what I learned, what was positive from it was, my goodness, the gratitude and the authenticity and the will to survive and want to show others that are going through tough things, that they will move through it, and that they will become. I have a program that I run, and words that I love to use, which is the possibility of something even more beautiful. So rather than looking at things as if, you'll make it through and you'll make that money, or, you'll set up your charity. It's not even, I don't see it being about that way. I see it as being just so nakedly, openly raw as a human being. It's just, you'll come through this and you'll be an instrument of beauty from your heart, divine beauty, so that in every conversation, in every interaction, in every day that you engage with life, because we don't know how long we have. That's what I've been taught in my travels. Yes. That you have a chance to say something, to do something, to smile a certain way, to look at the camera a certain way that touches one person, that changes their life. And that's the positivity that's come from my journey.
Yeah, I always say that these are my leftover moments. So
your leftover moments.
So we have to do the most of it, make the most of it.
Yes, that's very true.
I look at my journey as always, these moments are the only ones that I have. And whatever moments I have, even today when we are discussing this and we are talking about it, I know I have to make the most of it, of Devi, and what's her insights and what's her intelligence. But that's good. Good to know that you have got that kind of insights that you have given me. So in terms of like, okay, the challenging, the positives, you have been through so many things, gosh, that it's a journey of, as you rightly said, that you can write a book on it.
I have. I've written one, and I've got one coming out. Yeah,
you have book coming out, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I heard
that. A nice little mistaken segue that I didn't mean for us to have, but I do have a book coming out. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of like the challenges and all these challenges that you have gone through, but you have survived and you have moved on, and you have not like stuck in one area or one situation, which is quite impressive to see. How did you manage to do that? What was your journey in spiritual one way, if you were to describe? What was your one feeling that get over it? Is it like kind of thing?
It was I've had a few very, very, call them religious or spiritual moments, whatever you want to call them. I feel I have a very strong connection to God. And I, through the last sort of shock, which was, because when you go through a few things over and over again, loss, it adds up. And the last one, which was coming up to the 2-year anniversary of that, I actually believed I wasn't going to survive it. I actually was so traumatized psychologically by the suddenness of the event that I surrendered. So I prostrated, for hours and days at a time, to praying to show me the way. And it didn't come instantly. And I also, when I have share these stories, I don't want to pretend that every day is amazing, because, I had a bit of a tough day today. I had a lot of self-doubt today. Why is this man interviewing me? I don't know enough. And I was really anxious and really nervous. So I share those things because I think people that go through these things and then you make it out and then you think, oh, you're free. No, I'm still human. I still have my challenges every day. But the main thing is that I surrendered myself.
Right.
Yeah. And I need to keep surrendering. Yeah.
And you keep surrendering to those that your beliefs. So you are more like because in my world of spirituality,
Yeah.
there are lots of beliefs, and everybody believe everything, and lots of different people have different beliefs.
Yes.
But I do more on the power of seeking rather than believing, because belief can put you into a different direction sometimes. But seeking and curiosity can make you, and possibilities can give you more possibilities and more opportunities to do things.
Yes, most
That's what
definitely.
that's what I live on, you can
Yeah.
say. So, no, that's great. So tell me, so you have overcome now all of this, and now how do you see, how do you live your moments? If I ask you, like, these are challenging moments that you have passed already, many challenging moments you passed through. And we can't say that challenging moments are not gonna, because according to me, every single moment that we live is a challenging,
Mm.
and you have to overcome and you have to move on.
Yes, you
So
do.
what keeps you, what's your one thing that you would like to tell the audience that which can resonate probably with them? And they say, because during this COVID-19, everybody is in a situation where they don't have, and they are more depressed because they don't get any pre-COVID-19, what they were complacent about. They can't be complacent anymore because it's lots of uncertainties.
Yeah.
So what would be, and you have gone through so much uncertainties
Yeah.
and already passed on,
Yeah.
what would be your message to the audience in terms of like your beliefs or your way of handling this situation?
It's a great question. There's, like all of us, there's a certain practice that I do. So I belong to an amazing community of people. There's over, I think there's either 50 or 60,000 of us worldwide now.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
it's the company, or the organization, not a company, organization is called Natural Way of Living. And
Mm-hmm.
the idea is that you get shown and guided through understanding your spiritual heart. And the practice
Okay.
is very simple. And in fact, I would love to share what, the very
Okay.
simple 1 minute step of what the practice is, if you like, because the idea is that we're not talking about the heart, but we're
Mm-hmm.
actually doing and communicating directly with our spiritual heart. So that's what I do. And I do those practices every day. Often I'll do them hourly,
Right.
so that I
Okay.
can remove my brain and my fears and come back to this place that is
Okay.
pure divinity. And it works alongside, it's non-denominational, it works alongside whatever practice anyone that's watching or yourself is doing, because it's not supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
taking away anything. It's just adding the element
Adding
of
the,
divine spiritual heart. Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing. That looks like you have nailed something that you can take on and drag on with easily. It seems like simple
So
to
simple. And I
understand,
have to share with
simple to understand, simple to see. Yeah.
simple to see. And I don't think I would be here. So I'm medication free as well. I came off my antidepressants when
All
this
right.
scenario happened 2 years ago. So when I say
Mm-hmm.
surrendered, I surrendered everything. I surrendered my job, my family, my identity. I surrendered the strongest part of me, to be just, something more divine. So that's what I mean by surrendering. But let me
Sure.
guide you, if I may, and your followers, simply
Mm-hmm.
through the practice, and just you can see, you feel the difference. Is it okay if we do that together?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, you want me to do now?
yeah, we'll just do it for, how long have I got? Can we do it for a minute,
Yeah,
2 minutes?
we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
So
can,
is
or
it
we
like
can wait till
something?
the end. You let me know what's best.
Yeah, let's do it then. Like a
Yeah.
breathing technique, is it? Okay, I
Not
see.
breathing.
So yeah.
It's a smiling technique.
Oh, smiling technique.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try that, hey?
Yeah.
Who knows? I might get more benefit out of it. Mm.
I hope so.
Yeah, so in terms, let me touch on that because you are a business coach, I think, and you are into business strategies, right? You are kind of. So what is your actual business that people can take? Because during this is the time when everybody needs, so you are doing an online business or what type of business, but tell us about that, where can benefit the people of today, where if they want to become a business self-employed or business
Mm,
owners, and
sure,
then that
sure.
would be a good thing for them to understand, because you don't have to do a 9 to 5 job. You can
No,
just
definitely not. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
I wish I had this done before our call, but I am redoing everything very soon in
okay.
terms of my websites to be more current. There is a
Okay.
meetup group that is, it's at the moment it's called the Heart Centered Network. So either look us up as the Heart Centered Network or the Heart Centered Way. By the time they see this, it might be updated. And that's a business networking group where they can come and they can meet me and some of my members of the community and learn how to, or just find out more, I guess, about me and find out if my way of doing things is something that they enjoy. The other thing that they can do is head to my website, which is debbiezita.com, and there's the current book on there, which will be updated, is Rapid Change, 9 Reasons Not to Do It. So it's all about growing over the long term, because I believe change spiritually, emotionally, and financially takes time for our system to get used to the new good things.
Of course.
And yeah, I can share more about some of my programs if people are happy to learn more. The possibility of something even more beautiful is one that I'm launching.
Yeah, what I am intending to do also, like a business forums, and in that I can invite you.
Oh, thank you so much.
To share your business, and also give them opportunity for many people who would be aspiring to have a side business or a part-time business or whatever. I'm just happy to support them and give them opportunities and avenues all around the world that is available. So I will definitely look into that and invite you for my business forum. I just started one business forum, ethnic business forum I started. I also did one Woman Entrepreneur Dream Big. So if your business is all related to women or young women or woman businesses, then we can also organize some of those events online.
That's
so we could,
amazing. Yeah, that sounds
you could
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, then you have got more time to show them as well. And
that
purely
makes me so excited. If I had someone, that was there for me. I had lots of amazing mentors, but I often, I wish I had someone that had walked some of the struggles that I'd walked, and which you can't.
Yes.
But if I could look back and just say, it's going to be okay, you can do it. That would change some of those dark days. And if I can help someone do that, to give them some empowerment and leadership skills.
Because you have come over from a very, very dark moments, of many dark moments, and you have seen the lights, and you are now lighting up everyone. So love that.
Thank you.
Which is awesome.
Thank you.
So why not share the light to New Zealand as well, not just Australia?
I would be honored and humbled if New Zealand wanted to spend some time with me. That would be wonderful. Yeah.
No, sounds good. So let's, so all your, basically what you have gone through, the challenges and everything. And in terms of what I wanted to take from you, lots of positive things, is when you want to say some positives of your implementing things, or the things that you have been doing, without any negative thoughts or without any expectations or without any those, and all those words that you said, like kindness and everything is involved in it. Without that, you can't move, basically. But what will be your most concrete and strong message when it comes to positivity? Because positivity is something that people don't understand. People think there is a big word like positivity. Positivity, according to me, is nothing other than doing things that you like and that you want, and that you don't delay, and that you don't defer, and that you don't, this is what I think positivity means. You just keep doing things that you like.
I agree with you. I'll add my flavor, if I may.
Yeah, just tell me.
So I think a lot of times when people talk about positivity, they talk about the growth mindset, which is a psychological term from positive psychology, which is absolutely wonderful and very beautiful. And it's part of my approach as well. But the approach that I use with my clients is a three-step approach. The first one is actually the heart space. So one of my clients jokingly said, there was a mindfulness movement, and she said to me, Debbie, you need to be advocating in the business world for a heartfulness movement.
Heartfulness movement.
For Debbie is the heart space. Yeah, I liked it too. She's pretty gorgeous. So number one is the heart space. Number two, again, is the mindset. So having that positive aspect, what can I do? How can I share? And the third step is inspired action. So often we think we have to do things that, you know, everyone else is doing Facebook Lives, everyone else is doing Instagram stories.
Correct.
I don't like technology. I really struggle. I would rather, you know, create a program because that excites me, earn a good amount of money, and outsource that to someone who loves doing that. So I'm still on the search for someone if you happen to know anyone that does that. But as an example, it's the inspired action, because even as I talk about it, that inspires me. And then that creates the opportunities and possibilities for that to happen. So that's how I see positivity.
Yeah, no, I like that. Heart space, I love it.
Yeah.
So that's the first one, is heart space, which is good, you know.
Very good. It's the best place to be.
Yeah. And this is where people don't listen to the heart. They listen, they try to follow others, and then they try to find out what is positivity.
Yes, and linking it back to our initial conversation, when we actually access this place within us, then the answers actually come, and the people that we need to meet. If I tell you another story another time about how I met the director of the charity, you're going to laugh. So it's, I don't know if we've got time, but the events that was...
Yeah, we have. You can tell me something.
Do you want me to tell you the story of how I met Dominic from Hope for Education Ghana?
Yeah.
So I just lost my partner, and I was in shock, and I took myself to a retreat, a spa retreat. I left my son with his father, and I just left, you know, to have some space. And I was meditating, and I was praying, and I was walking in nature. And then I had this very strong feeling to go onto Facebook and just connect with people that I felt from my heart to connect to. And one of them was this gentleman, Dominic. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his gender. I didn't know anything about him. All I knew was my heart was sort of like, you know, going like this. You know, people often think this means romance, but I've been on the heart journey for a long time. I know it doesn't mean romance. It means something beautiful.
It's a connection. It's universal connection. And so, that's what I call it. I call it the universe is kind to connect us.
Exactly. So this is the other social awareness we have to create for business owners. They get awkward thinking, oh, does it mean? No, it just means human connection. So long story short, I reached out to him, and, you know, the connection was amazing. We ended up video chatting. I did some mentoring pro bono for him. We got along so well. We spoke for 3 hours. And then the charity conversation came up, and I can't remember, he or I said, you should be on the board. And there's a word we use in Judaism, which is chutzpah, you know, which is chutzpah means like, you know, you have some, you know, kahunas, can I say that word? Or you have some, you know, some brave, you're a bit brave. So I said to him, you should invite me, you're the director. And he says, you're invited, come to the board meeting, but we are in New York City and the AGM is in a month. And I said, my grandmother's words came to my mind, and my grandmother was in Nazi Germany, lost her entire family, very strong woman. Her words came to my mind, which is from your mouth to God's ears. So I said, Dominic, from your mouth to God's ears. And I surrendered, Shailesh.
Brilliant.
And along the way to New York, I did go to New York. Not only did I get to go to New York and sit on the AGM, and I was voted in by the rest of the directors, guess where the meeting was in New York City? The Empire State Building.
Wow. Okay.
And along the way, 2 weeks along that journey, I met my current partner. And he came with me to New York, and we exchanged rings in Los Angeles at a sacred site in Los Angeles. So I got to be on the board of directors, meet the love of my life, and that's how I became involved with the charity. So this is what I mean by life. Life will guide you with the right people at the right time. Yeah. When you follow
I totally get that, and I totally believe in that concept of, and I always say that, you know, that everyone has, every phase of everyone's life, people come and people go.
Yes.
And then we got to make a difference to each time when we touch people. So that's how I see it as, and I take it everything as a universal fact that we don't have to worry about or think about it too much, anything. Just get the connection, and when you get the connected, just make things happen. That's it.
Exactly. And there's no explaining, because you understand each other.
There's no explaining.
Yeah. Exactly.
So so that's why I think spiritually I got impressed with your video, and I got connected straight away.
Thank you.
So it was awesome. awesome to see that you have got that insights with the similar mindset. And that's how I wanted people to come together. If they are like-minded and they are passionate about certain things, then we can make things happen and make
Yes.
impactful. It's nothing right or wrong or anything. We are just here to do our bit. We are just here to do our things. And that's what I believe strongly. I don't know whether you read Bhagavad Gita, but this is what it's all about.
I have a
Um,
copy.
it's a life journey.
Yeah, it's in that in the hallway. I have yoga. Well, Bhagavad Gita. I haven't got the original copy, but I've got the commentary from
Mm,
Yogananda, which is very beautiful.
mm.
Two big
Yeah,
books that
that's
go
right.
through Arjuna and the story, and
Yes. Yeah, it's very powerful, and it's a lifestyle. It's not any religion, it's not any diversity. It doesn't talk about anything. It's talk about humanity. It's talk about every single aspect of humans. It's
yes,
talk about that, and it has dissected very well. But the most important in that book, I don't know, it's not written anywhere, but the most important cover on that cover of the book, they say, is like what it's about humans, how you define humans. So I exist because you exist, and I don't exist because you don't exist,
that's
and
beautiful.
you only exist because I exist. So
That's
it's
absolutely
very
beautiful.
powerfully written, and I have got a deeper meaning to it.
Mm.
So not people in here, but it's great. So yeah, no, on that level of high level of spirituality, it's quite different to understand, and people to make people understand. And that's what your statement comes in, like they have to self-love, or they have to understand themselves, and heart
Yes,
space is the most important.
most.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing that can move you and
Only
that
thing,
can take you further.
I was having this conversation with my partner, and we do have different views. And he said, "Well,
Hmm.
how do you change someone's mind, babe? You know, if they don't understand you." I said, "You don't ever change someone's mind. You
No.
move their heart."
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I absolutely 100% agree on that. So it's very unique. Everybody is unique, but if the universal truth is quite simple, and that's
Absolutely.
what
Exactly right.
people try to unnecessarily find something that they can't. You have
Yeah.
to look into your heart, and
Look,
you will find it.
it's all there. It's all, I've got hearts everywhere. It's all here. It's all,
Oh wow!
yeah, I've got my beautiful wooden heart from one of the retreats that I went on, and yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
right.
it's by far the most important thing to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of business, definitely we will have another session on the business level of coach. But in terms of this, your positive outcomes that you have and you have touched around, and during this COVID-19, you must have experienced quite a bit of people coming and taking your advice or consulting you or asking you questions, how to do this or how to do that. What would be your advice to those people?
Yeah, honestly, and this is counterintuitive to most people, but it's actually get offline for a little bit.
Mm,
Because as much
mm,
as we've moved online and we're in a global economy and we want to be on Zoom, and I'm extraordinarily grateful for Zoom and
yeah.
for Facebook.
Mm,
However, I don't live there, and I really
mm,
actually don't like being on there very much unless I feel to, because
I
I
agree.
think it takes away from that experience of being human. So it's also
Mm.
very addictive being online as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
giving
true.
time to actually be away so that you're not
Yeah.
getting pulled into what other people are doing. And there's a lot of comparison that goes on. I struggle with this, comparing, what are they doing? What are they doing? So remove yourself and only go on when you're in a quiet space so that you can really feel if what they're sharing is truth
Yeah.
and it's necessary for you. And if it's neither of those two things, move away and come
Mm.
back another day. Send them love and light. Don't wish anyone bad, of course. But get offline and go for a walk and meditate and pray and smile to your heart. Yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. No, that's cool. No, thank you so much, Devi. This was great, wonderful to talk and have your conversation with you with good positive insights and knowing you a little bit better as well, and knowing what you do. And this is great that we connected, but also I would love to have more and more conversations with you in the future for people who can benefit out of the journey that you have been through, and the what you call it, turnaround of journeys that you have created for yourself, which is really amazing.
Thanks.
So yeah, so I appreciate your appreciate your time, and it's really awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie, once again, and I look forward to our meeting. So yeah, and I appreciate NZ World News will always welcome you to have more and more insights of your thing.